Hey, what's up there, boys and girls? It's February 23rd, Monday, 9 a.m. Here we are, elevating your voice. I'm Chris Dunham. He's Marco Bravo. And today's guest is Chris Dunham. We couldn't find any of you to join us, so Marco decided that I was going to give you one of the hot seat today because I think we put you on the hot seat not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of January, I think.
Yeah.
Probably about a
Yeah.
month ago, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Oh yeah, that's right. After the first year.
Yeah.
Talked about all your school niches. Yeah. So it'll be fun asking myself questions. So when I ask the question, I'll be over here. And when I answer the question, I'll be over here.
No, you're not allowed to ask questions because then you'll know the answer.
I know, but it'll be a nice dichotomy of weirdness, right? You ever see that movie The Big Chill with William Hurt and all those people?
No.
It is so good. William Hurt played a really funny character. At one point in time, he was interviewing himself with a video camera. So he's on a couch and he's having conversations like this with himself. I've actually done videos where I was talking to Santa Claus.
And you were dressed as Santa Claus
Yeah.
okay.
And I had one where it's a referral. It's a thank you referral video I post up on Facebook every now and then. And I'm talking to myself over here as get a wiggle on. And, hey man, you know what he just did? And then it's like, no, what did he just do? He just gave us a referral, man. So it's
Awesome.
silly shit like that.
Well, are you ready? That's what I want to know. Are you ready?
Well, I'm the one that turns this thing on. I started it, so I got you. Yeah. Well, Sherry, I didn't. Oh, I see what you're saying. Sherry's like, shit, Trevor, Liddy. I got you. My bad. I didn't want to be like, oh, look at me, I'm on the show, Sherry, Sean.
I did actually. I was gonna do a promo video.
Yeah.
And then I went on the page and I saw that you did a promo video already.
Right. I was like, my promo video was quiet. I didn't stick where it was.
I know. Too humble. Too humble.
Yeah.
So 27 years. 27 years, and we were just actually talking before we went live that you just celebrated 30 years of marriage. Congratulations.
Thank you. 30 years. I pulled that off, but yeah, 30 years.
So 27 years. What did you do before that? Well, it amazed me.
I ran group homes for the mentally handicapped. I worked for the Mark Center, which is a place that makes it still better today. Started in the day program. It was my second job ever. My first job ever was working at Thrifty's Stockman on Night Street Silver. Remember the ice cream at Thrifty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Second job was at the Mark Center. I was there for 13 years. I stayed there my first 2 years in real estate because by that time, I climbed the ladder. So I was ahead. I oversaw 5 operations of group homes. So I had a really easy, flexible schedule. Had a really good staff. Everybody that worked, everybody that we had, we called them clients to understand that it was people like us, but mentally we were 7, 8 years old. The unique thing about it, anybody in the group homes that I worked with and oversaw, they're all mentally, moderately, or it's mentally retarded. Don't shoot the messenger kid. That's what we called them back then. They all had something wrong, and it was all tied to birth, which is a trip. Because when you're working in the group homes, you got to read all the case files, and all the case files tied to something to do with birth, whether it's prematurity, umbilical cord wrapped around your neck, or lost oxygen to the brain, some weird catastrophic event happened during birth, and that's as far as the EMR was concerned, it was all tied to that. Then I had autistic, I had Down syndrome, I had a guy that had an affective organic disorder, and shit you not, with the cycles of the moon. When it was a full moon, right? When it was a full moon, he would regress down to an infant stage. And he was like 6'5", 150 pounds, soaking wet. So he was crazy, lanky, hard to control. But so that was what I did before real estate, which actually was a really good training to be in real estate.
Because why do you say that?
Because you had to deal with all the parents that were involved. You had to deal with all the different personalities. We call them clients. With the clients, no day was ever the same because they'd all have a good day, they'd have a bad day. You had to learn how to talk to them like you're talking to a kindergartner because, again, they may look like us from a physical standpoint. They may be 40, 50, 60 years old, but literally there's 5, 6, 7, 8. So you had to learn how to speak in their language, if that makes sense. You had to know what triggers would set them off because you wouldn't want to set them off. You had to learn how to talk them off those cliffs and those ledges when they were going off because they would go off. I saw somebody one time, one of my guys was so pissed off about something. He put his chair out during a water heater and Jake broke him and just took it out of the ground. So how that correlates to real estate.
Hold on, Chris. I think for some of us that joined,
Yeah,
they don't know
yeah.
the context.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did before I got into real estate, I ran group homes for the mentally handicapped. I had 5 group homes, and there was people in the group homes that were like Marco and I, but mentally we're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And Down syndrome, autistic. We had a guy that flapped his arms like a bird. We had a guy that was nonverbal, so he would tall, lanky, black guy. He would, he actually chased Nikki around the group home one day. That's how I met Nikki. Chased Nikki around the group home one day with a knife.
Oh, Jesus.
Because he wanted her to cut open the watermelon and he couldn't verbalize it, so he didn't understand. So he was just chasing Nikki with a knife, trying to get her to understand. I just want this watermelon. It was. I mean, it was funny. He was told the story after the fact.
Right.
So yeah. So that to me was drape changing for real estate because all the different hats we have to wear. We're counselors, we're negotiators,
Right.
we're lawyers, we're all the things. So when you deal with somebody that's insane, I'm sorry, not insane, but mentally handicapped, and which is how we called them. We called them clients. You had to learn how to deal with the different behaviors and the different personalities, especially the parents, because in the parent side, like in real estate, if you're showing a house to first time home buyer, mom and dad are always right, we're wrong.
Right.
So it's the same concept with a parent that would come visit their child once a month, and in their eyes, everything we're doing is wrong. But it's like, but where have you been for the last 29 days? You haven't been here, so you don't really know. But you can't say that. So you kind of got to learn how to talk the language of the parents, talk the language of the clients. Then you got to deal with all the state inspections and stuff. Then you have to deal with all the doctor's appointments, the medical stuff, because they're all in psychotropic medications. So you're going to those type of medical appointments once a month. Scheduling and organizing taught me all kinds of that. I would have those giant desk calendars. And every November, I would sit down with all my clients' books on the table upstairs at the Mark Center, and I'd color code the calendars for the entire year. Mental appointments, physicals, the state meetings, the program. We called them IPPs. I forget what it stands for, but it was the annual programs for goals and stuff. I had to budget all the group homes. I had a certain amount of money I could spend on food. All my houses were shot 24/7. So I'd have 4 clients and about 7 to 8 staff. So I'd have to feed 7 to 8 staff 24/7. Every day, every year. So it taught a lot about budgeting. It taught a lot about structure, organizing, because you had to have everything set up. Policy, like example, pill miners. If I put, like, say one guy, we'll call him Dave, was taking lithium, and he was taking 1.0 grams of lithium 3 times a day. Every pill miner had to say lithium 1.0 grams, but then it also had to have the generic form, because if state came in and they saw lithium, but his pill bottle said the generic form, I'd get written up for that. So all those little details I have to learn to pay attention to. So I got to the point where when state came in, there was nothing. I'm actually friends on Facebook now with one of the state employees that used to come to my group homes and go through it. I would get zeros, which was like unheard of.
You were just dialed in.
Yeah, on all my group ones, I get zeros. So by first year in real estate, I was like, I can't handle 5 group homes and sell houses. I only did 1 deal my first 6 months. I did 13 my second 6 months. So I did 14 the first year. And then went and sat in my supervisor. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm like, no. We don't want you to leave. How about dropping to 3 houses and you stay? I'm like, okay. So I dropped to 3 houses. One of the supervisors, last I checked, is still actually at one of the houses that I hired him at. And I've been doing real estate for 27 years. So that's 25 years ago I hired it.
So what was I mean, it seemed like you were very successful at the group home environment. You had it all dialed in. You dabbled a little bit with real estate, 1 transaction, 2 transactions.
Yeah.
So what pushed you to follow this career and say, hey, you know what? I'm done with whatever I'm good at. What was the impetus?
There was no money in Mark Center. The next level for me would have been achieving the person right underneath the executive director. And I didn't really think that was ever going to happen.
Mhm.
because the two people that were ahead of me had been there forever. He and I were looking for a house. We kind of stopped working with realtors because they're all assholes. We'd go to a realtor and say, hey, now understand this is 27, 28 years ago. We go to a realtor and say, hey, we want to live between, what would this? The baseline in brown and price to Vista. Vista. 120 or less, 3 bedroom, 4 bathroom, 2-car garage with a pool, but doesn't have to have a pool. And they would give us stuff like 140, 150. They, give us 2 or 3 listings, and none of it matched our criteria. So I got fed up with it. And I'm like, we're done. We're just going to rent. We were at the mall one day. But as we were walking out, we passed this company, Bruce, Nick probably remembers this company, New Home Concepts was in the mall. So we're walking out the door. Nick is like, oh, let's try it. And I'm like, okay. So we go in there, and this lady comes out named Sally Klops. She called herself Sally K. She's like, be a typical realtor. So we sat down with her, kind of went over what we wanted. She said, well, come back. So this is when the computers were still that DOS, the little tiny screen type. And you had to print everything out, like this weird LaserJet ink printer where just, lines for printing out. So
Yeah.
we go back and tell her what we want. She sits us down in the computer, puts a lot of criteria. There's like 400 houses, man. And the guy looked at something like, you serious? So what I took away from that, which I've still used today, she actually listened to us, and she listened to what we wanted. She didn't care about the price. She didn't care about the location. She just took what we told her and said, this is what we want. And she gave us a list of what we wanted. And then from that list, we went and started looking at houses. And then we ended up buying a brand new one with her adoption. Not adoption range. I forget what it's called now. In the East Valley, it was a new old subdivision by Shea. And we were going forward with that. But we were like 11 months into it. It hadn't closed yet. So we bounced because it was like, we're tired of waiting, which was stupid. In hindsight, we should have stayed because we would have had so much equity. But Sally kept complaining about she needed more time. She needed more time. She needed an assistant. I needed an assistant to this, that. So I kept pushing Nikki, like, you should do this. You should do this, And Nikki's an introvert, which those of you know Nikki is like, there's no way how she would have done it. We just had Skylar, and she's like, why don't you do it? So I'm like, okay. So the plan was I went to the Arizona School of Real Estate and Business, all that, tested everything. When I got done, I went to Sally. She was supposed to hire me. The broker wouldn't hire me because that's brand new. So she's like, go to Century 21, get training. So I went to Century 21 for marketing, spent 6 months there, hated it. It wasn't my style at all. They kept trying to force a personality on me. The final straw was I was in a training, and the trainer, was like, when you leave a house with somebody, you need to be proactive and get a call to action. So I need you to say, hey, Marco, what would it take to get you into this house today? And I'm like, that's not my style.
Yeah.
So brilliant that I am, I left Century 21, a 50-50, 100% support company, and jumped to West USA. And back then, West USA was 100%. If you made a $3,000 commission, you made a $3,000 commission. Last, I don't know, $20 a year back then. And no support, like none. If you wanted to get a hold of a broker, it's 2 or 3 days later, the broker calls you. So I latched on to the office manager. I latched on to a transaction coordinator. And again, first 6 months, I did 1 deal. Second 6 months, I did 13. By February of my second year, Lynn Sperry, the office manager, said I was the fastest multi-million-dollar producer in West USA at the time because I had so much momentum from the second half of my first year to the second.
So do you think not having that support forced you to learn quickly and just because here's my thinking is that I think sometimes that if we have as a new agent, right, or somebody that's getting into if you're relying too much on the team leads, the broker leads, whatever, you really don't learn for yourself. You're just kind of getting fed. What do you think
Yes.
about that?
I learned by doing. I failed over and over again. I got yelled at quite a few times by Bob Stevens, the West USA broker. I remember one occasion I put in, there used to be a little line underneath home warranty that said first right of refusal. So when you're putting in the MLS system, and the house was in the MLS back in the day, you'd go through it wasn't automated like it is now. It's a pain in the ass. But I checked first right of refusal as opposed to home warranty. So a house is getting shown Cottonwood Crossing several times, and we're not getting offers, which was, bizarre back then. And an agent called my client to show the house, and he added the question in the showing part. I see you have first right of refusal. How long is that? And she's like, what are you talking about? So when he gets to the house, he shows her the printout where it says 24-hour first right of refusal. Back then, you could put a house under contract without changing it depending or UCB by just having the full line that says first right of refusal. So you as a consumer always thought that house was active, except for that little tiny box that was checked. So we weren't getting offers because everybody thought the house was under contract, and my sellers had 24 hours first right of refusal. So I get a call from Bob Stevens, and all I pick up the phone like, hi, this is Chris. I was say West USA Realty. This is Chris. Chris Dunham. I was like, yeah, it's Bob Stevens. And if you know Bob Stevens, I was like, what's up, Bob? You remember when you were a kid, you get called to the principal's office and your stomach sinks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
So all Bob says, I need you in my office for 10 minutes. Oh, shit. And hung up. So I happened to be close. It was Dobson and baseline. So I get to the office and walk in the front door, kind of down the hallway. And to step in his office, I see my client and her 3 kids in front of me. What the fuck? And Bob just shreds me. And then the after you started shredding me, I was like, Bob, like, really, I have no idea what you're talking about. It was a mistake. It was an error. I said, you have to show me what it is that I did wrong because I don't know.
Mhm.
And then he shows me, and then he realizes, oh, you didn't know. I'm like, no, I didn't know. I'm like, I'm new, man. This is probably my 4th month at West USA. So then he kind of stepped back and realized I just made a mistake.
Right.
And then I looked at my client. I'm like, she fucking call me, man. What is it full Bob?
Yeah.
I still ended up working with them. I still ended up selling their houses. They sold them a couple more houses over the years. But that's one of the other things I learned in real estate. When I make a mistake, my bad. What do I need to do to fix it? And I've always done that. So it doesn't matter what the mistake is, whether it's a small one or a big one. I'm the first one. I never go to bed without not sharing bad news. So if I have bad news, I rip it out like a band-aid. And if I made a mistake, my bad. How can I help fix the problem that I created, and whatever resolution you come up with?
Right. Which goes back to what you wrote is it seems like you have a game plan even before you sent me 2 templates, right? One, yeah. So there was one of them that said about having like a checklist about the contract and making sure that everything's super tight before you go under escrow with your clients.
I do my pre-offer docs. Pre-offer docs are everything but the contract
Okay.
and the BINSR. Everything else that is required by our broker is done ahead of time, because then all we're dealing with the day of the contract is actually just writing the contract. There's nothing else to worry about. It's not overwhelming them anymore. They've had the buyer advisory a week before, all the other miscellaneous documents. Nick actually created a file in Brokerment now called pre-offer docs based on the fact that it's something that I've always done. Because to me, it saves the step, and you get the opportunity when you send the pre-offer stuff. So it's a conversation. And send you all this stuff, Marco. I want you to review it. When you go through it, reviewing it, if you have any questions, this is a perfect time to ask. Because then when it comes time to just writing an offer on a house, all we're doing is the offer and whatever addendum are associated with it. And they all, of course, the addendum is if there's an HOA, if it's lead-based paint, the disclosure statement, any ABA disclosure forms and things like that, the listing agent may have in the document section. But it makes it a lot easier. And it's not as stressful on the buyer. I've done stuff sometimes where we knew we were going to get the house because there's multiple offers, or I would still write an offer just to take them through the process of a contract. So then they understood it. So then they weren't questioning all the things they had to question, because we already asked those questions. Then I also have set up an entire playlist on YouTube called the home buying process or selling process, which anytime somebody has a question, oh, that's a video. And then I make a video and stick it up on the playlist.
Well, it goes back to like we're always going to have these hard conversations with our clients, right? And if you're able to send them some things ahead of time and get them prepared for those hard conversations, I think it always helps. I think it makes things go a lot smoother. One thing I wanted to talk to you about is your farming. You're very passionate about your neighborhood, your farming. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
So when I first started, I picked a neighborhood. that farm, but I went there every Saturday, knock on every door. The amount of people I talked to, depending on how long I was in the neighborhood, I got really good at the neighborhood. It's called Stately Greens. For hindsight 2020 again, going back and kind of would have continued marketing and farming that neighborhood because I got to the point to where my average listing lasted 90 minutes. And then I just got too busy my third or fourth year and I just kind of fell away from that. But again, hindsight 2020, I would have continued marketing and farming that neighborhood. So every time I move into a neighborhood, I always look to see if there is a Facebook page. If there is, I join it. I've done this the last 3 neighborhoods I've been in. I actually built the Facebook page from Belarus Estates where we lived before here. And then when I was moving, they all kind of conspired against me and left that page and created their own. I'm like, you're all a bunch of fucking assholes.
Oh,
So in this neighborhood, there was already one established, but I've gotten so knee deep into this neighborhood, ingrained in this neighborhood, that actually people have messaged me, hey, you know, why aren't you letting me in? I'm like, I'm not the admin, man. I just help the admin. So the person who owns the page, Jill, she's got to the point where anybody that requests friends to join our neighborhood, she sends them to me to make sure they're actually in the neighborhood. I go to tax records and make sure they're legit because every Facebook page gets spammed,
right.
you know, and people that aren't really here. Recently, which was kind of fun, a realtor put the house down that she was selling and said she lived next to this person, which I just sold. And shit you not, it was 27 houses away, but she said it was her neighbor.
Gosh.
So when Jill sent it to me, I was like, no. I was like, she's a realtor, has a such shock. I thought so. Delete. So it's kind of cool. I'm like the gatekeeper in a sense, without like saying, hey, I'll do this. She just, there was a post one day, it was random. It was totally spam. And I'm actually, hey, this isn't a legit post. If this person doesn't live in the neighborhood, and that's how it started. So in doing so, I created magnets for the irrigation. We're an irrigated property. So this was the first year's irrigation magnet,
Awesome.
which was basically just the entire schedule. And I'd actually get people calling me up because their irrigation was late. I'm like, hey man, I'm not the irrigation guy. I'm the real estate guy. And then this year I got a little more brilliant with it, and I actually charged these two people money to be on it with me. So
Oh, great.
it cut the cost down a third. But it's nice because they're on the fridges. So I've gone on listing appointments in the neighborhood and they're sitting on the refrigerator.
Yeah,
You know,
that's great.
so that's part of the farming. About once a month, I do what I call the real estate update. So regardless of what's listed in the neighborhood, I'll share the photos and this pertinent information. Hey, supported by tree vat, 2,000 square feet, 1.13 acres, irrigated, no course setup, whatever the case may be. When something negative happens from a real estate standpoint, I share it. Some positive happens, I share it. And then, of course, I dangle all the other normal little stuff in life. Like I put our little anniversary video up on the page Friday. Hey, we've been married 30 years. Or Thursday, hey, we're married 30 years today. Curious to how many years you've been married, neighbors. And then so I got engagement on that. So the engagement is cool because now I have that person's anniversary day. So I'm sending them anniversary cards. Everybody that chimed in on that because
Genius.
some of them are coming around the corner, not right. Someone said, well, in March we'll have X amount of years. So March 1st, I'll get a card, even though I don't know exactly what day. It says, hey, happy anniversary. So it's a different way to farm. My neighborhood, you cannot endorse because the houses are set back about 100 feet from the street. A lot of them are gated. Just the properties themselves. So it's hard. It's kind of hard to farm a neighborhood like this walking. So you have to do it unconventionally, which
Have you farmed any other neighborhood? And would you recommend to agents farming other neighborhoods that are not their own? How do you feel about that?
well, it's like I farmed Stately Greens. I've always farmed the neighborhood I lived in because my whole thing is remember I'm not just another realtor, I'm your neighbor. So that gives me a little bit of power. Like I've had outside realtors call me wanting advice for listing houses in the neighborhood. And my first and always initial response is, okay, well, wait a minute. One of my neighbors is listing their house without me. Because like, really, what the fuck? So I think farming has value. I think it's like when I did it initially, it was an FHA neighborhood. I found a neighborhood that was FHA achievable because I was all about first time home buyers. Because remember when my wife and I were looking for first time home buyers, and the only reason I could think of that realtors didn't want to work with us is we weren't wanting to spend more than 120,000. That we wanted this giant area, and that was too big for them. But they weren't listing us because we were first time home buyers. So I've always loved working with first timers. I've always loved educating them. I get a high off the accepted offer. it's part of my addictive personality, but I get that. I chase that high. So that's why I like working with buyers more than sellers. I know that the list to last. I've learned that from Nick. Listings to me are boring. There's a lot of downtime because you can only market so much and make so many videos and post so many different places. And then it's
Right.
like, okay, now what? Buyers I like because you're kind of on the run.
There's more action. Yeah.
Yeah, there was there's tons of weekends in my career where Friday I have no escrows and by Monday I have seven. So I can back to back to back all day long because my approach with buyers is you've already seen everything online. Now you're just looking at something faced in person. So there's really not that hard of a decision to make. I see Sherry asked the question.
She has two really good questions.
Okay.
Um, the first one, how has sobriety factored into your real estate career? Has it changed prior to and since? And you've been sober now for
21 years, February 9th. So the fun thing, my anniversary of sobriety is February 9th. My anniversary of my wedding is February 19th. So when I got sober, I actually called clients the last year that I was drinking and made amends, which was interesting
Mhm.
because I was always I was a functional alcoholic, never affected what I was doing from business wise, you know, I just emotionally wasn't there. We won't go down that path. I was an asshole, but I wasn't abusive physically or that kind of stuff with Hawaii. So the only negative thing about not drinking is we're all in real estate and we all have those days where we come home and we just want to drink.
Yeah.
I can't drink the day away. I don't have that ability. Anybody who's an alcoholic has the ability. Fireside chat. You're having a bad day. You drink 2 or 3 glasses of wine. You sink into the comfortable numbness and you're style. Your day just water shades away. I don't have that ability because I am an alcoholic. There's nothing like I can't take painkillers. When I had my neck surgery, I had to deal with this Tylenol and Advil. So imagine, you know, vertebrae
It
and
is.
neck grinding on each other. And this while selling houses, it's given me a lot of patience, but it's also made it very difficult sometimes when you do have just an absolutely shitty day.
So what do you do? Uh, how do you like? I have a shitty day. I'll go have a glass of wine, just kind of tune it out. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you jog? Do you exercise?
Usually, because I work out in the morning, so it's kind of a back end thing. If I'm having a really shit day, really just coming home and with Nikki, you know,
Mhm.
clothes probably come off. It's a good way to relieve stress.
Okay.
If you follow my drift there,
I follow it.
we're lucky in the fact that our honeymoon has never ended. We don't really have that many bad days, but when I do, even if there's nothing, even if the clothes down, it's still just hanging out with her talking. It's just, we don't take good as an answer. Like, hey, Margaret, how's your day? Good. Fuck you. How was your day? Like, shut up. Everybody's good. How was your day? What'd you do this morning? Why are you such a bad? What happened with work? What happened with the listing? What happened with that? Nick jokes that all our spouses are the real estate support group, because they hear all our nonsense. They hear all our days and stuff, but that's just part of having a partner, a spouse, right? So as much as Nikki hears about the real estate, I also hear just as much about the teaching. So I kind of balance each other out with that. My hobbies, she calls them, helps a lot. Which is, elevating the board. She thinks this is a hobby. The Christian Meyer show, she thinks it's a hobby, which is true, but it helps. It helps cycle the creative side of my brain because I have such a creative side of my life. And when I stopped playing in bands, I had to fill that void. So that's where the radio show came into play, and that was great. And it taught me I always have to have a creative way to purge.
An outlet.
Yeah, yeah. So there are times where I'll just come home and run if somebody pissed me off or something. I'll come home and just. My fastest outdoor mile was after a client that I've worked with for years.
Right.
I helped them market. I helped them grow their pizza business. I was on every single flyer that left their pizza place, like every single one. I'd walk into a house, 85249. This is a different way of farming. I'd walk into a house, any house in 85249 zip code, and automatically recommend them because every single pizza that left West Street Pizza, I was on.
Right. Cool.
All of it. We
Yeah.
split it. I paid for the printing by taking it to the title company that said I need 5,000 of these. And I did. I grew their business to the point that they sold it, made a profit, moved to Denver. So there's another way. I know that's a squirrel.
Yeah.
Another way for farming is find a local mom and pop business,
Like piggyback off of them.
right? That has pieces is a great thing because you're gonna always want to promote your product and your coupons and things like that. So what I did with Rush Street Pizza, I created a Facebook page called Chandler Neighbors, and I went and talked to a bunch of businesses when we moved to Ridge Ranch Meadows, and they were one of them. And I walked in, I'm like, "You guys got flyers with your pizza box?" They're like, "Yeah." Well, how much does that cost you a month? I forgot. So I said, "Well, what if I took care of the printing? Would you let me split the flyer with you? Just put a little advertisement on the bottom?" And they were like, "Well, yeah, duh, save us money." And so
Cool.
once a month, I'd go drop off flyers. I mean, it was as simple
Awesome.
as that. That really helped me cement myself in the 85249 zip code because, again, I'd walk in your house like, "I recognize you. I don't know
Right.
why I don't recognize you." And back then, I had a folder binder where it flipped through my marketing, and probably the second or third thing was the Rush Street Pizza. "Oh, that's where I know you from. They'll say that. You say it."
Chris, you're very vulnerable on your social media. I wish I was as vulnerable in the sense that you really just put yourself out there. You
Mhm.
let people into your life, you let people into your family, what you're doing. How do you feel that has helped your real estate career?
I don't know if it's actually helped the career or not. I think it helps people realize I'm a human. It started when Skylar was going through her first. When we realized Skylar was doing the heroin, I needed to let the world know that because we were that family that 4 or 5 times a week we had dinner together. We went through her phone. We were engaged. We did all the things that you expect a parent to do, activities and things like that. We were always involved in everything. So for her to do this under the eyes of an alcoholic, mind you, just shocked us.
Yeah.
So that's where it started because I posted this live thing about heroin in Chandler 85249 and how if you got $20, you can go get black tar heroin. It's readily available. Like if you don't think your
Mhm.
kids, if you think your kids are clean, yeah, you're wrong.
Right.
It doesn't, these are the signs we didn't see. That took off into our last time I stumbled on, because I don't have it anymore, but I stumbled on, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago, it's like 167,000 views. But I would have people randomly just come up to me and shake my hand. "Thank you for sharing that,"
Yeah.
because it made me talk to my son or it made me talk to my
Right.
daughter. Nikki and I would walk into places, and if I was referred to as my queen, so we'd walk into places and people behind me, "Oh my God, it's the queen!" And then she gets all
Yeah.
embarrassed. So it makes me more of a human, not just a machine. I'm just not here to
Yeah.
sell your house. Like my birthday posts, I've been doing birthday posts on Facebook for
Right.
God, I don't know, since 2008. It used to be just one post. I used to write out a little blurb about Paul McCartney says it's your birthday song.
Mhm.
And then I would link the video to YouTube. And eventually Facebook just shut that down. Like you can't do that. So I started making my own videos. But I get people at 10 o'clock at night, "Where's my birthday video?" Because it's, it's
Yeah.
such a thing
Yeah.
for so long that if they don't get it, they're like, "Where's my birthday post, man? Like I waited for this all day." But that's another way of kind of online farming, right? You do that, you go and you like their stories and engage in their stories and comment on the pictures and stuff like that. There's a way, if you don't know it on Facebook, you can actually go just to your friends.
Right.
You don't have to just go to the entire, and you open it up, you see all the world. But you can go into Facebook and you can click your friends and just see your friends feed. And by doing that, then you're just paying attention to your friends every day.
Well, and I think with you putting your story of your family, your vulnerability, you doing the birthday post, I think it shows that even though a lot of us think of social media being very robotic and very
Mhm.
distant, you can still make connections and make them
Yeah.
very personable, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think for at least for me, I when I open up Facebook, it's kind of like too far away, right? But you have mastered it. You have mastered it where the people are actually reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, you forgot about me," post,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
very personal, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we have another question. What are you doing
Yeah.
today to generate business? Are you mostly working past clients? Yeah, after 27 years, you must have a giant.
Well, you would think. So here's the thing. Good question, Mark. I've learned in my 27 years, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So when the market first crashed in 2007 or 8, whoever you talk to, all my eggs were in the Brian Buffini basket, like all of them. I stopped everything, like everything, and I mean everything. everything was funneled into Brian Phoenix because I thought this is the way. And about 6 months into the crash, when I make my calls, and I did the four, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams,
Work.
right? That kind of
Right.
stuff, right? It gets to the point to where people still answer the phone back and they're, hey, Chris, I have company for you. Nobody I know wants to buy a house. Nobody wants to sell a house. I don't know what to tell you now. So they would cut me off even before I could say anything. They would
Mhm.
cut me off before I would, well, I'm not calling for that, Mark. I'm calling, well, no, dude, I know what you're calling for. I get a realtor. I know, man. I get it. You sold my house, blah, blah, blah. So my entire business crashed, just devolved because everybody was in that box and everybody got tired of me calling, regardless of why I was calling. They knew the end game of that phone call because that's the whole Buffini thing. It's like you do all the other stuff, but then you wrap everything else on, hey, I'm never too busy for the referrals. So I went and worked for this. I call me Antichrist. It's a whole nother story. I was on a team. I was on a team. We were selling HUD homes. We were probably doing 70 to 80 HUD homes a year. And once I left him, I went to Century 21 Solutions and I was like, well, what's the solution? No, it's just solutions real estate thing. I was like, someone I got to rebuild the database. So I went into the years I worked with the Antichrist and everything was under his name. So I looked at production under his name and I just made a list and I started calling all those people and mailing them stuff. And eventually they would come back because I got them such an amazing deal on a HUD house. I mean, you're talking 4-bed, 3-bath house, in Gilbert for, it was probably worth 300,000. They walked in the door for 90, right? I had one gal that we bought a shithole in the ghetto of Phoenix for like $35,000. Like I wouldn't go there at night looking like this. 5 years ago, I think she called me up. We sold that house in Phoenix, made a killing. Our house in Santan Valley, all cash. And the shit was left over, went and bought some land up north, all because I helped to buy a $35,000 piece of shit because nobody else would. Because I never cared about purchase price. Everybody deserves a home, right? It's an American dream. I don't care what you spend. It's my job to help you find it. So that mindset alone and connections before commissions and just listening to the buyers and once, and he's actually just listening, like shut up when they call you and just listen. What kind of house you looking for? Just let them purge and then send them a list right then of exactly what they asked for. There's a guy that came across this weekend that wants 400,000 or less in Gilbert, 3-bed, 2-bath, no HOA. It's not happening. It's not happening. I looked. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Now there's 7 houses with HOAs. And when I explained that in the email, their response was, appreciate you reaching out. But there's no other thing I could do because I can't make a house appear that has no HOA under $400,000.
So on that particular client, what's your follow-up plan now?
And he said he's on a search. He's on a search. And I get notified of the search when the houses get sent to the client. And if I see his name pop up, no HOA in Gilbert, then I'm going to call him right away. Hey, I just sent you a list of houses on this. I'll click on what it sent, and then I'll give him a call, text, email, whatever. Hey Marco, I just sent you a house on this part of Gilbert it meets your criteria. You need to go take a look at it because again, there's nothing available. These are going to go quick. And I'll express the urgency.
Right. And you mentioned that follow-up is gold. I think a lot of us forget to follow up or we just
You get in your own way. Everybody gets in their own way. You don't want to do it. You're afraid to call somebody. Everybody does it. I do it. It's a,
why are we afraid? Why do you think we're afraid to call? I mean, we know we need to do it, but why do we
I personally think because what COVID did to us in our profession, as far as the phone calls and the text messages, people don't answer the phone. You don't. To me, I don't like leaving messages. I'll shoot bomb videos if you don't answer the phone, and I'll send you a bomb video, and then But part of it is just it's still the fear. Even though I've been on the phone, I don't know, a million times. I've had a million conversations. There was a time if I called you or you called on my ad, and by the time we got it done on the phone, I would get your legal name, your birthday, your social security number, and how many credit cards you have, what revolving debt was on those, if you had a vehicle payment. If so, what was the amount you owed on that, how much was left, where you've worked for the last 2 years, whether it was one job or 10. if you're married, divorced, if you're paying child support, how many kids you have, what kind of schools you. I mean, we called it flipping. It's when I worked for the Antichrist. And unless we had this entire sheet filled out, we couldn't send them to a lender. This is before the FCC said you can't ask for social security numbers. But I legit, if I wanted
Wow.
to be an identity theft, like
Yeah.
King, I could have had an entire world of people and
Yeah.
stolen identities because I'm that good on the phone. It's just nobody wants to get on the phone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's the
and I think also now, I think with so many scams,
Mhm.
and I think that trust is, unless you're face to face and you can
Right.
feel that human interaction,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's people are very wary, right, on the
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
They don't know you, they don't know who you are, they don't know your business, right?
Right.
Why are you calling me?
That's why I tell them to Google me. Google Chris, I'm the real estate guy. You call me back
Well, that's a great idea.
because I'm everywhere when they do that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
can't they can't say, "Oh, I don't know you." After you do that, it's in your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
But I think that
That's
but I still think it's a fear. I think it's human nature to be afraid. Even though I've made a million phone calls, it's still human nature. There's days where I don't feel like calling somebody. I don't feel like making the 5 phone calls. So then when I make the 5 phone calls, I feel so much better making the 5 phone calls because then I had at least one conversation. Even if I had no conversation, then I at least made the 5 phone calls, right? Because then I'll look outside and say, "Oh, my yard needs to be mowed." So I'll go mow the yard and I'll do the phone calls after I get down with the yard. I'll then the front yard turns to the back, or the back yard turns into the pasture. Oh, I got to trim this bush. I got to do these hops. I got to do this. All of a sudden, 6 hours later, I'm still outside. So it's the mindset that you get up every day in the morning and you got to start your day out doing these simple things.
yeah.
I do my birthday posts. I do my like of all my friends' stories. I go on Instagram now, I like their stuff there as well. Then I'll forget. I go on my phone and I have them saved in the clients. And I'll make a little tick on my notebook where I left off the day before. So I'll find that
Yeah.
person's name in the clients as I scroll up. Oh, I got to start on D
Right.
today. So I start on D and make those 5 phone calls
Right.
and then I go do what I'm going to do.
It's that I think it's called eat the frog philosophy.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, like there's a book that I read a while ago, and the whole philosophy is do the things that you know you have to do, and do the things that you have to do that you don't like to do them first. Do them
Yeah.
first, get them out of the way. That way you can focus on the things that you like to do, right? And so that's what I try to do is I I hate CRMs, right? I'm just
See,
not
yeah,
I'm not
yes,
good
yeah,
at them,
yeah,
but every morning when I come into the office, that's the first thing I open after the email, and I try to go through, cipher through the CRM
yeah,
and make those phone calls in the morning. That way I
yeah,
can focus on the other things.
yeah.
What
I
one
love,
thing that
I love being on the phone. I love chasing the fuck you phone call.
yeah?
I would go to the dial. I had lenders over the years give me the keys to their kingdom to where they gave me their access to their CRM. And
Oh, wow.
I'd punch in Mojo and I'd make, 200 calls an hour till I got one appointment. And I would call for the fuck you,
Yeah,
and
really?
I got one. All right, now I'm done with that. I got the fuck you. Now I'm going to find someone who wants to buy a house.
Yeah,
And let's say the masochist part of the addiction. Like you want the crazy man. But think about it. If your mindset, if you go into making cold calls, which you can't really do anymore, but if you go into making cold calls and you know you're going to be told to fuck off, you want that to happen sooner than later so you can get past it, and then everything else is just fun. I have
yeah,
people I didn't call them. Yes, you did. I would argue with them. I didn't call
mm,
them. Yes, you did. You just called me. I just missed the call. I'm calling you back. Well, that was somebody else. Really? Who else has your phone number? What do you mean? I'm like, you just called me. I'm calling you back because you called me. You didn't leave a message. So that's why I'm calling you back to figure out what you called me for. Are you looking
right.
for a house? Why didn't I call you? But you did. Are you all alone? I am alone. Okay. Well, then obviously you called me because, and then you hang up. But that
Yeah,
to me was fun because then
yeah,
I get that banter going, I get my blood pumping, and it's like, boom, all right, on the next one, on the next one. And
yeah,
it's the 10% game. You call 100 people, you're going to talk to 10 of them. And of those 10, one is going to be ready to buy. And if you're lucky, that one is ready to buy now. But chances are they're 3, 4, 5, 6 months away. So the
yeah,
next day you start all over again.
right.
So when we had the world where you could cold call, I thrived in that. That was I loved it. I would just, shit you not, 2, 3 hours a day, Mojo Island, nonstop.
After 27 years in the business, do you still cold call?
No, because you can't. You can't. You get spam.
Oh,
I got spam. somebody spammed my number last week to the point that I had to go to Apple support. It took them from 6:15 a.m. on Wednesday till about 8 o'clock, or no, yeah, 6:15 Thursday morning till about 8 o'clock Thursday night to unblock my number. So
Hmm.
I had one person that messaged me on Facebook. He's like, "Hey, I get my messages." So I may have missed who knows what in that, what, 14-hour time frame, because somebody, when I called or when they hit spam,
Hmm.
instead of, I just type stop and then it deletes it.
Yep.
But somebody spammed me. So you can't cold call. You get destroyed. You can get all that, do not all this shit. Even though, and understand, when people register on revenue, things like that, I don't really look at it as a cold call because they register, right? A cold call to me is if Jeremy gave me access to a CRM and I plug in a Mojo dialer, and every hour, every day for 2 hours a day, I was Mojo dialing everybody in his database trying to find buyers or refis. Because if I got somebody that want to buy,
Mhm.
they're already in a house, then because the lender gave me access to it, I was like, "Well, what's your rate?" "What do you mean?" "Well, I work with a lender. What's your rate? Maybe I can get you a really good deal on refi." So whatever the rate was, I would holler at Josh, "Hey man, pick up this line," and he'd pick it up whether he refi or
Yeah.
not. But so I was generating business for him. I was generating business for myself, because in face to face on the phone, I'm lights out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can, if you're breathing, you're buying or selling a house with me.
Well,
That's how
right.
confident I am in the game. I've honed
Yeah.
over the years. COVID COVID crushed that. Nick and I talked about it. It's like, how did you get past? I think we talked about two on our last shows. How do you get past that barrier now? Because there's so many walls.
Well, and I think you've kind of figured it out because it's almost like that social media is the new cold call.
A little bit, but
A little bit. I
but
mean, it's not direct,
uh,
but in a sense, when they open up their social media and they're scrolling and
yeah,
your face is on there, your message is on there, it's, by default, they're getting a
it's
message
it's still
that.
top of mind, but it's not top of mind to the sense that it used to be. Like birthday cards, I send birthday cards, anniversary cards now, and if I send, Nick and I have talked about this, if I send 100 birthday cards out, I get one person acknowledging it. But it's not bad. 99 people don't, because those 99 people still open the card, they still see it, they still make,
Right.
"Oh, I got to say something, Chris," and then they forget.
Right. Right. Right.
But that one, you get a smile on your face from that one. It says you,
Yeah.
"Hey man, thanks for the birthday card."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh sweet, you're welcome. Thanks for letting me know." It's like, yay! It's not
Wait,
fame.
we don't have too much time, but I think one of the ones on the things to avoid,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of us fall into this trap, is chasing another's success.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Don't keep, yeah, because you don't like. Okay, so I'm gonna just Nick's asking it. So Nick is flawless with what he does.
Mhm.
His systems in place, his approach to real estate, the consistent that he puts in year after year after year after year, the success he has is unbridled to anybody else in our brokerage. I think we'd all agree. So trying to be Nick, you're going to fall flat on your face because you're not Nick. I'm not Nick, right? I can take little pieces of Nick that I see and like, oh, I can incorporate that. I can incorporate that, but I'm never going to do it to the level Nick's doing it, because I'm not Nick. I don't have Nick's personality. I don't have Nick's drive. I have my drive. You have your drive, right? What is different? What works for Nick? Me going running around in a uniform costume for happy birthday doesn't work for me, right? Would probably lose their shit if I did it, because it would be the funniest thing in the world. Where Nick does it, that's one of his things. It's unicorn
Yeah.
work. So that ties in with his unique marketing. That's like his Girl Scout cookies and shit. There's things that Nick does that I just sit back and watch, like, wow. Like I told him all the time, like, man, I wish he would came and joined you when you opened this up,
Right.
because I've learned so much just the short time I've been there. Like I never thought of putting money. This is going to blow your mind. But putting money out of every commission check into a Charles Schwab account. I
Mhm.
learned that at Roper South. We bled through our entire life savings dealing with our daughter's addictions and shit. And I never, if I would have had somebody tell me that the first year I got in real estate, hey, take $500 at every closing and throw it on this, I'd be sitting on
Right.
millions of dollars right now. But nobody told me that. And that was one of the problems with getting in real estate the way I did. Anybody that knew me wasn't going to work with me. But they didn't know me wasn't going to work with me because I didn't know how to talk. I couldn't talk on the phone. I couldn't talk face to face because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I really, really, truly had to build this by failing over and over and over and over again,
Mhm.
nonstop. Getting questions asked and just standing there with a deer in the headlights. I don't know how to answer your question. I went on listing appointments and was asked questions. I got in the door, and then when I'm sitting at the table, they ask me a question. I'm like, I don't have an answer for you. And they're just looking at me like, sure, real true.
Right.
I could get an answer you tomorrow, maybe. And finding about the listing. So then I'm like, okay, I got to get these questions answered. I got to learn how to do this. I got to learn how to do that. But having nobody, I mean, nobody, I was on an island.
Yeah.
I
And
had
it's
no idea.
grit.
I
It's
had no
grit.
idea.
You have grit. Yeah.
No idea what I was doing. When I was in real estate school, I thought this was the easiest gig in the world. Oh, you get paid 6% every time you sell a house. Little did I know you don't get 6%, you get 3%. Oh, by the way, since you're going one, that 3%, that 3,000 goes down to 1,500. Oh, then after that 1,500, you got to pay all this bullshit C21 fee. So that 1,500 that you were getting, I get 950. Oh, and then by the way, you're going to pay tax on that 950, and you're coming home with like less than nothing, which
Right.
is why I left C21 and went to West because I wanted all my $3,000.
Mhm.
But doing so, you just I it really learn by doing, learn by failing over and over and over. I bugged Lynn Sperry, the office manager at West should say so much. At the end of the year, I give her a bouquet of flowers with little bees in it. And I said, the card said, thank you for letting me bug you all year. It's just, you know what I mean? But if it wasn't for her, Daphne Hernandez, I really don't think I would have survived because I would have made so many mistakes. I would have been, you know,
Well,
let's just say,
I think that speaks to your personality and to a lot of people that have been in the business for a long time. And that's why you hear about a lot of real estate agents that don't make it to the 5-year mark, or I think
mm,
some percentage about after 2 years is
yeah,
I think if a new agent was to walk into this brokerage and say, hey, look, I'm looking to be a real estate agent, I think one of the characteristics that I would want to see is how much grit does this person have?
yeah.
Because you are gonna fail.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is you are gonna fail, and how you handle that failure, if you're gonna get back up and try to learn from it and try to be better,
Yeah.
you're already off on the right foot. But if you fail and you're like, no, this is too hard, I'm just done.
Yeah, I've told my son for years, it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. Because I felt, I mean, when I stopped drinking, that was a monumental fail. I fell, but it was how I got back up. Nikki was done, one foot out the door, I'm done. And that was, we've been together 31 years and I've been sober 27. So the last, I'm sorry, sober 21. It was the last, what, the years 8, 9, and 10, I think were my worst one. The 10th year of our marriage was the absolute worst of my drinking. That's when I obviously changed your head and I stopped. But it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up all day
Yeah.
long. Everybody falls. Unless you're LeBron, then you just fall and be a stupid ass. You know? Yeah. I saw this thing the other day. The top 5 worst basketball players in the NBA, they were all LeBron.
Jeez.
All 5 of them. All 5 of them. Yeah.
Before we leave, do it. Does
Yeah.
anybody have any questions for Chris?
Yeah. He could just text me. You don't have to ask the question.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you so much. I mean, this was
Yeah.
you truly are, getting to know you. I've only been here for not even 6 months, but I've gotten to know you really well through this podcast and through your
Yeah.
interactions, and you truly are
Yeah.
inspirational.
You got my little purple heart over it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Which, if you would have let me to day one, I was going to fuck off.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, wow, you look snazzy today.
And my purple heart was.
I think this is the first time I've seen you wear a collared shirt.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I've been in the office, and yeah, Nikki and Nick were talking about my changing wardrobe over our anniversary driving to Munns Park.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah,
That was
thank you.
amazing.
Yeah,
Thank everybody for joining, and we'll be back next week. And thank you so much, Chris. That was really awesome.
thank you. Have a great day, everyone.